The cold slowly left Marcus Kane's body as the cryopod hissed open. White steam poured out around him like morning fog. His eyes opened slowly, and everything looked blurry at first. The ceiling above him was white and clean, just like he remembered. But something felt different. Something was wrong. "General Kane, can you hear me?" A voice said. It was Dr. Lisa Morgan, his medical officer. She always took care of him after cryo sleep. But her voice sounded strange today, nervous, like she was afraid of something. Marcus tried to sit up, but his muscles were still weak from the long sleep. 5 years in cryo was never easy on the body. He had done it many times before, during the war against the aliens. The doctors would put him to sleep, and he would wake up months or years later to fight another battle. How long? Marcus asked. His voice was rough and dry. 5 years, sir. Just like planned, Dr. Morgan said. She was checking numbers on her tablet, but she would not look at him. That was very strange. Lisa always looked at him when they talked. The war? Marcus asked. This was always his first question when he woke up. How was the war going? Were they winning? Were they losing? How many people had died while he slept? Dr. Morgan stopped moving. She looked at her tablet for a long time before she spoke. "Sir, I think you should talk to Arya first." Ship's computer wants to speak with you right away." Marcus felt his heart beat faster. Arya only asked for private talks when something very bad had happened. Last time, it was to tell him that Earth had been attacked. The time before that, it was to tell him that half his fleet was destroyed. "Help me up," Marcus said. Dr. Morgan helped him stand. His legs felt like water, but he could walk. She gave him a uniform and waited outside while he got dressed. When he opened the door, she was still looking worried. They walked through the halls of the Hughes Valor. This was his ship, his home for the past 10 years of war. He knew every corner, every room, every sound it made. But today, something was different. There were people in the halls he did not know. No, not people. Aliens. He saw tall blue creatures with 4 arms. Those were Zephyrians, the enemy. There was a big rocky creature with red eyes. That was a Korthek warrior. They had been trying to kill humans for years, but these aliens were not prisoners. They were wearing human uniforms. They were working on human computers. They were talking and laughing with human soldiers like they were friends. Marcus stopped walking. "What is this?" he asked Dr. Morgan. "Sir, please." "Arya will explain everything. We are almost there." They reached the computer room. Dr. Morgan touched the door with her hand, and it opened. Inside was a big screen with blue lights. This was Arya. "General Kane," the computer said. Arya's voice was always calm and clear. "I am happy to see you. Awake and healthy. Arya, what happened to my ship? Why are there enemy aliens working here?" "Sir, they are not enemies anymore. The war ended 3 months after you went into cryo sleep." Marcus felt like someone had hit him in the chest. "We lost?" "No, sir. We won. We won completely. Every alien race in the galaxy surrendered to humanity." "That's impossible. When I went to sleep, we were losing badly. The aliens had better ships, better weapons, more soldiers. How could we win in just 3 months?" "Sir, you will find this hard to believe. But humanity did something that scared every alien race in the galaxy. They did not just surrender because they lost battles. They surrendered because they became afraid of what humans could do." Marcus sat down in a chair. This made no sense. "Explain." "After you went to sleep, the human fleet started using your battle plans. The ones you wrote called the Adaptive Response Protocol. But the other humans took your ideas and made them bigger. Much bigger." The door opened, and Lieutenant Colonel Jake Rivers walked in. Jake was Marcus's best officer. He had worked with Marcus for 8 years. But Jake looked different now. He looked older, more serious. And he was wearing new badges that Marcus did not know. "General," Jake said, "I know this is hard to understand, but everything changed after you went to sleep. The aliens think humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because we have big guns or fast ships, because we think in ways they cannot understand. That makes no sense, Jake. Sir, let me show you something." Jake touched the big screen, and it showed a star map. The map was covered in green lights. All the green areas are now controlled by humans. That is 60% of the known galaxy. Marcus looked at the map. 3 months ago, humans controlled maybe 5% of space. Now they controlled most of it. How? Because every alien race that heard about human battle tactics immediately asked for peace. They did not want to fight us anymore. They were too scared. Scared of what? Jake and Dr. Morgan looked at each other. Arya was quiet for a moment before speaking. "Sir, the aliens think humans have magic powers. They think we can change reality just by thinking about it. They call it the human factor. They believe the humans cannot really lose a fight because we always find a way to win, no matter how impossible it seems." Marcus laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. "That's crazy. We are just people. We bleed and die like anyone else." "Yes, sir. But the aliens do not see it that way. To them, humans are unpredictable and dangerous. They think our ability to adapt and change is supernatural. I need to talk to my other officers. Get Captain Amy Foster and Commander Rick Thompson. I want to know exactly what happened while I was asleep." "Sir," Jake said quietly, "Amy is now an admiral. Rick is in charge of all human technology development for the galaxy. Everyone got promoted. The whole universe changed while you slept." Marcus put his head in his hands. He had gone to sleep as a general fighting a losing war. Now he was waking up to find that humans ruled most of the galaxy, and nobody could explain how it happened. "One more thing, sir," Arya said. "The alien leaders want to meet with you. They have been waiting 5 years to talk to the human who created the strategies that ended the war. They think you are the most important human alive." Marcus looked up at the screen. "I just wrote some battle plans. Nothing special." "Sir," Jake said, "those battle plans changed everything. The aliens studied them and decided that fighting humans was impossible. They think any species that can create strategies like yours must be gods or demons." Marcus stood up slowly. Outside his ship, the galaxy was completely different from the Yatsa ship, one he had gone to sleep in. Somehow, while he slept, humanity had become the most powerful force in known space. And everyone was telling him it was because of ideas he had written down before his cryosleep. He did not understand it yet, but he knew his life, and the life of every human, had changed forever. Marcus walked through the ship's halls with Jake. Everything looked the same, but felt completely different. Human soldiers were working side by side with aliens who used to be their enemies. A tall blue Zephyrin was fixing a computer next to a human engineer. They were talking and laughing like old friends. "This is impossible," Marcus said quietly. "I know, sir. But you will understand soon. Captain Foster is waiting for us in the briefing room." They reached the briefing room, and Marcus stopped at the door. There was a new sign next to it that read, "Admiral Amy Foster, Fleet Intelligence Division." Amy had been his student years ago. She was smart and brave, but she was just a captain. When he went to sleep, Jake opened the door, and Amy stood up from behind a big desk. She was wearing admiral badges and looked much more serious than Marcus remembered. But she smiled when she saw him. "General Kane, welcome back to the waking world," she said. "I know this must be very confusing for you." "Amy," Jake tells me you are an admiral now, and that we somehow won the war in 3 months. I need to understand what happened." Amy nodded and touched a button on her desk. The lights dimmed, and a big screen appeared on the wall. It showed pictures of space battles and alien ships. "Sir, everything changed after you went into cryosleep. We started using your adaptive response protocol, exactly like you wrote it. But something unexpected happened. The aliens could not understand how we were fighting." The screen showed a human ship fighting 3 alien ships. The human ship was much smaller, but it was moving in strange ways. It would fly toward the enemy ships, then suddenly turn and fly away and attack from a different direction. "Your plan said we should be unpredictable," Amy continued. "So our pilots started flying in ways that made no sense to the aliens. We would attack when we should run away. We would run away when we should attack. We would surrender and then fight back. The aliens could not figure out what we were doing." Marcus watched the screen. The human ship was winning the fight, but he could not understand how. It looked like the pilot was making random choices. "This looks like chaos," Marcus said. "Exactly, sir. That is what scared the aliens. They think in very organized ways. When they see chaos that somehow works, they think it must be magic." The screen changed to show a meeting room full of aliens. They all looked worried and afraid. "This is a recording from a Zephyrian War Council meeting," Amy said. "They were trying to understand how humans fight. Listen to what they said." The recording started playing. The aliens spoke in their own language, but there were human words at the bottom of the screen. "The humans do not follow any rules we understand," one alien said. "They make choices that should lead to failure, but somehow they always win. Their General Kane must have powers beyond our understanding," another alien said. "His strategies are like nothing we have ever seen. They are impossible, but they work. I think humans can see the future," a third alien said. "That is the only way to explain how they always know what to do." Amy stopped the recording. "Sir, they had many meetings like this. The more they studied human tactics, the more afraid they became. They started to believe that humans are supernatural." Marcus shook his head. "But we are not. We are just people doing our best in a bad situation." "I know that, sir. But the aliens do not see it that way. Let me show you what happened next." The screen changed again. Now it showed a human engineer working on alien technology. Marcus recognized him as Commander Rick Thompson, one of his best people. Rick started taking apart alien weapons and ships that we captured in battles, Amy said. But instead of just copying them, he started mixing different alien technologies together. The screen showed Rick working with pieces of blue Zephyrian energy weapons, red Korthic armor, and clear crystal Nexari computers. He was connecting them all together into something new. No alien race had ever done this before, Amy continued. Each alien species uses only their own technology. They never mix different types together. But Rick did not know that was supposed to be impossible. Marcus watched as Rick's hybrid weapon powered up. It glowed with blue energy, had red armor plating, and made sounds like crystal music. What happened when he tested it? It worked perfectly, sir. Better than any single alien weapon. But when the aliens saw what Rick had created, they panicked. They thought humans had discovered some secret of the universe that they had never found. The screen showed alien scientists looking at Rick's hybrid weapon. They looked terrified. They could not understand how we knew how to combine their technologies, Amy said. Each alien race had spent thousands of years perfecting their own technology. They thought it was impossible to mix different types together. When they saw humans doing it easily, they decided humans must have godlike intelligence. Marcus sat down in a chair. This was all too much to understand. So they surrendered because Rick mixed some alien parts together. Not just Rick, sir. After his success, all our engineers started doing the same thing. We built ships that used Zephyrian engines, Korthic weapons, and Nexari shields all at the same time. We created computers that could think like 3 different alien species at once. We made armor that could adapt to any kind of attack. Amy touched another button, and the screen showed a human ship that looked like nothing Marcus had ever seen. It was blue and red and crystal clear all at the same time. It seemed to change shape as he watched it. The aliens had never seen anything like our hybrid technology, Amy said. They started calling it human magic technology. They believed that only beings with supernatural powers could create such things. But it is just engineering, Marcus said. Yes, sir, but the aliens do not think like humans. We see a problem and try to solve it using whatever tools we have. They see a problem and only use tools their species created thousands of years ago. When they saw us solving problems in completely new ways, they thought we were reading their minds or seeing into the future. Jake, who had been quiet during the briefing, finally spoke. Sir, there is something else. Dr. Helen Park, our alien biology expert, made a discovery that scared them even more. Amy nodded. Helen found out that humans learn alien technology faster than the aliens who created it. She watched our people figure out alien computers in days, when it takes alien children years to learn the same thing. How is that possible? Helen thinks it is because humans are used to learning many different things, Amy said. On Earth, we have thousands of different cultures and ways of thinking. So when we see alien technology, our brains can adapt to it quickly. But aliens grow up with only one way of thinking, so they cannot adapt to new ideas easily. The screen showed Dr. Helen Park working with a group of human students. They were all using different alien technologies, like they had been born with them. When the aliens saw this, they decided that humans must be the smartest species in the galaxy, Amy said. They thought we were so intelligent that we could understand any technology just by looking at it. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see alien ships floating next to human ships. They all had the same flags and were working together. So they surrendered because they thought we were too smart to fight. Partly, sir. But there was one more thing that made them give up completely. It happened during the Battle of Kepler Station. Commander Paul Martinez was there with only 50 human ships. The aliens sent over 2,000 ships to destroy him. Amy paused and looked at Marcus seriously. What Paul did next convinced every alien in the galaxy that humans are the most dangerous species that ever lived. And it all started with your battle plans, sir. Marcus turned back to face Amy. What did Paul do? Amy smiled, but it was not a happy smile. He did something so crazy that even I have trouble believing it. And when the aliens saw it, they immediately contacted every other alien race in the galaxy and told them to surrender to humans as fast as possible. Tell me, sir, Paul Martinez took your adaptive response protocol and used it in a way that no sane person would ever think of. He turned a battle into something that was not a battle at all. And somehow it worked. Amy touched the screen again, and new pictures appeared. Marcus could see a huge space battle with thousands of ships. The alien fleet was enormous, like a dark cloud covering the stars. The human ships looked tiny next to them. This is the Battle of Kepler Station, Amy said. Paul Martinez was in command of our fleet there. He had 50 ships. The aliens had over 2,000. By all military rules, Paul should have run away or surrendered immediately. Marcus looked at the numbers on the screen. 50 against 2,000 was not a battle. It was suicide. What did Paul do? He followed your adaptive response protocol perfectly, sir. The protocol says that when facing impossible odds, Humans should do something unexpected, something the enemy cannot predict. Paul took that idea and made it bigger than anyone thought possible. The screen showed Commander Paul Martinez on the bridge of his ship. He was a big man with gray hair and calm eyes. Marcus remembered him as a good officer who always stayed cool under pressure. Paul sent a message to all his ships, Amy continued. He told them to prepare for Human Protocol Zero. Nobody knew what that meant, because Paul had just made it up. He made up a new protocol during a battle? Yes, sir. That is exactly the kind of thinking that scares aliens. They plan every battle for months or years. They follow rules that are thousands of years old. But Paul created a completely new strategy in the middle of a fight. The screen showed Paul's ships moving into a strange formation. Instead of preparing to fight or run away, they were spreading out in a pattern that made no sense. Paul ordered his ships to do 3 things at the same time, Amy said. First, they started broadcasting Earth music, movies, books, and art to the alien fleet. Second, they aimed all their weapons at the enemy ships. Third, they prepared to launch what looked like a full attack. Marcus watched the screen with confusion. Music and movies? In the middle of a battle? That was just the beginning, sir. When the alien commander saw this, he thought Paul was trying to confuse him. So the aliens prepared for a normal space battle. They got ready to destroy Paul's ships and move on to attack Earth. The screen changed to show the inside of an alien command ship. The Zephyrian commander looked puzzled but confident. His ship was 10 times bigger than any human ship. Then Paul gave the order that changed everything, Amy said. He told his ships to fire all weapons, but not with normal ammunition. Instead, they fired modified terraforming devices, communication equipment, and cultural archives. What do those things do in a battle? Nothing, sir. They are not weapons at all. Terraforming devices are used to change planets so humans can leave on them. Communication equipment is for talking to other ships. Cultural archives are just computer files with human art and music. Marcus shook his head. That makes no sense. How do you fight with those things? You do not fight with them, sir. That is exactly what made the aliens panic. Paul was not fighting a battle. He was doing something completely different, but the aliens could not figure out what it was. The screen showed Paul's strange ammunition hitting the alien ships. Instead of explosions, there were bright lights and strange energy patterns. The terraforming devices started changing the alien ships, Amy explained. Not destroying them, but modifying them. The ships began to look more like human ships. The communication equipment connected all the alien ships to each other and to Paul's fleet. Suddenly, every alien ship was receiving human music, human movies, and human books. Marcus watched as the alien ships began to change color and shape. They were turning from dark metal into something that looked almost alive. The aliens thought Paul was using some kind of magic to transform their fleet, Amy said. They had never seen technology that could change one thing into another thing. They thought Paul was turning their ships into human ships. The screen showed alien crew members inside their ships. They looked terrified. Their computers were playing human music. Their walls were showing human movies. Their weapons were displaying human art. But that was not the worst part for them, Amy continued. The cultural archives contained something that scared the aliens more than any weapon could. What? Human stories, sir. Stories about humans who never give up. Stories about humans who win impossible battles. Stories about humans who turn defeat into victory. The aliens read these stories and thought they were historical records. Marcus started to understand. They thought our fiction was real? Yes. Sir, the aliens do not have imagination like humans do. They do not create stories about things that never happened. When they saw human movies about space battles and books about heroes who never lose, they thought these were true events from human history. The screen showed an alien reading a human comic book about superheroes. The alien looked shocked and afraid. The Zephyrian commander sent a message to Paul, Amy said. He asked Paul to stop the attack and explain what he was doing. Paul's answer is what ended the war. What did Paul say? Amy touched the screen, and Paul's voice filled the room. Commander Vex, this is not an attack. This is Human Protocol Zero. We are showing you who we really are. We are a species that turns everything into an advantage. We can make friends out of enemies, tools out of weapons, and victory out of defeat. We do not destroy our enemies. We make them into something better. The recording continued. Your ships are not being destroyed. They are being improved. Your crews are not being killed. They are being educated. This is how humans fight. We do not just win battles. We change the entire meaning of what a battle is. Marcus listened to Paul's words with amazement. He sounded completely calm, like he was explaining something simple. The alien commander asked Paul what he wanted, Amy continued. Paul said he wanted the aliens to understand that fighting humans was pointless. Not because humans were stronger, but because humans do not fight the same way other species fight. The screen showed more alien ships changing. They were becoming hybrids of alien and human technology. The crews inside were watching human entertainment and learning about human culture. Within 2 hours, the entire alien fleet surrendered, Amy said. But they did not surrender because they lost a battle. They surrendered because they realized they were fighting a species that could turn any situation into something completely different. What happened to Paul and his fleet? They became heroes, sir. But more importantly, news of what happened at Kepler Station spread across the galaxy faster than light travel. Every alien race heard the story and decided that fighting humans was impossible. Amy showed Marcus a map of the galaxy. Green lights were spreading across it like a wave. One by one, every alien civilization sent peace messages to Earth, Amy said. They all said the same thing. They wanted to join humanity instead of fighting us. They wanted to learn how humans think. They wanted to understand human protocol. Zero. But Paul just made that up. I know, sir. But the aliens do not know that. They think Human Protocol Zero is an ancient human strategy that has been used for thousands of years. They think every human commander knows secrets like that. Marcus sat down and put his head in his hands. So we won the war because Paul confused the enemy with music and terraforming equipment. We won because Paul showed the aliens that humans do not think like anyone else in the galaxy, Amy said. Every other species fights to destroy their enemies. Humans fight to change their enemies into friends. Every other species follows rules. Humans make up new rules while fighting. Every other species tries to win. Humans try to make winning and losing meaningless. Jake spoke up from his corner. Sir, the aliens call it the human factor now. They think we have supernatural powers because we can change the nature of reality just by thinking differently about it. Marcus looked up at Amy. What happened after Kepler Station? Every alien race in the galaxy contacted us within days, Amy said. They all wanted to surrender and join the human alliance. They were too scared to keep fighting a species that could turn battles into something that was not battles. And now? Now we rule most of the galaxy, sir. Not because we conquered it, but because everyone asked to join us. They want to learn how to think like humans. They want to understand how we make impossible things possible. Marcus stood up and walked to the window again. Outside, he could see human and alien ships working together to build something new. It looked like a space station, but it was unlike anything he had ever seen before. What are they building? A school, sir, Amy said with a smile. The aliens want us to teach them how to be more like humans. They want to learn creativity, imagination, and adaptability. They think these are the most valuable things in the universe. Marcus turned back to Amy. And they think I created the strategies that made all this possible? Yes, sir. Every alien leader wants to meet you. They think you are the smartest human who ever lived. They want to learn from the person who wrote the plans that ended the greatest war in galactic history. Marcus looked at the star map on the screen. The green lights covered most of the known galaxy. Humanity had gone from a small, losing species to the teachers and leaders of countless alien civilizations. I just wrote some battle plans, Marcus said quietly. Those battle plans changed everything, sir, Amy replied. You taught us that humans win not by being stronger, but by being different. Marcus spent the next day walking around his ship, trying to understand his new world. Everywhere he looked, humans and aliens were working together like they had been friends for years. In the engine room, a human engineer was teaching a group of Zephyrians how to fix a computer. The aliens were taking notes and asking questions like excited students. This is still hard to believe, Marcus said to Jake as they watched. I know, sir, but wait until you see what Commander Bill Jackson has been doing with alien technology. That will really surprise you. They walked to a new section of the ship that Marcus had never seen before. The sign on the door said, Joint Species Research Laboratory. Inside, the room was bigger than Marcus expected, filled with strange machines and devices he did not recognize. A man with brown hair and a friendly smile walked up to them. Marcus recognized him as Bill Jackson, but Bill looked very different now. He was wearing a uniform with new badges and symbols from different alien species. General Kane, welcome to the future, Bill said with a big smile. I have been waiting 5 years to show you what we have built here. Marcus looked around the room. Humans were working next to tall blue Zephyrians, rocky red Corthics, and crystal-like Nixari. They all seemed happy and excited about their work. Bill, what is this place? This is where we combine human creativity with alien knowledge, sir. The aliens teach us their science, and we teach them how to think outside the rules. Together, we have made discoveries that none of us could have made alone. Bill led them to a table covered with strange devices. One looked like a human computer, but it was made of blue crystal and glowed with soft light. This is a hybrid thinking machine, Bill explained. It uses human computer design, Zephyrian energy technology, and Nexari crystal processing. It can solve problems faster than anything that has ever been built. Marcus picked up the device. It was warm to the touch and seemed to vibrate slightly. What kind of problems? Any kind, sir. Mathematical problems that would take normal computers years to solve. Scientific questions that have puzzled aliens for thousands of years. Even creative problems like writing poetry or designing art. A tall Zephyrian scientist walked over to them. Her name was Dr. Kira, and she spoke human language with a strange accent. General Kane, your species is amazing, Dr. Kira said. We have learned more in the past 5 years working with humans than we learned in the previous 1,000 years working alone. What have you learned? That being different is not wrong, Dr. Kira replied. For thousands of years, my species thought there was only one right way to do science. We thought there was one right way to solve problems. But humans showed us that there are many right ways to do everything. Bill nodded. The aliens are incredibly smart, sir. But they think in very organized ways. They follow rules that have worked for thousands of years. When we showed them that rules can be changed or broken, it opened up whole new ways of thinking for them. They walked to another table where a group of humans and aliens were building something together. It looked like a spaceship, but it was unlike any ship Marcus had ever seen. It seemed to change shape as he watched it. What is that? A shape-shifting exploration vessel, Bill said proudly. It can change itself to fly through space, swim through water, or crawl along the ground. The aliens provided the materials and basic technology. The humans provided the idea that one ship could be many different things. A young human woman working on the ship looked up and smiled at Marcus. General Kane, I am Engineer Sarah Kim. I heard you are the one who started all this. I just wrote some battle plans, Marcus said. Those plans changed how we think about everything, sir. You taught us that problems do not have to be solved the way they have always been solved. Now, we apply that idea to science, technology, art, and everything else. Jake led Marcus to a window that looked out at space. Outside, dozens of ships were flying in formation. But these were not normal ships. Some looked like living creatures. Others seemed to be made of pure light. A few appeared to be built from materials that should not exist. Each of those ships represents a new idea, Jake explained. Ideas that came from combining human creativity with alien knowledge. The aliens give us their science and technology. We give them our imagination and willingness to try impossible things. Marcus watched a ship that looked like a giant flower, floating through space. Its petals were opening and closing like it was breathing. That ship was designed by a team of humans and Nexari, Jake continued. The Nexari provided crystal technology that can grow and change. The humans provided the idea that a spaceship could be alive. They walked back through the laboratory, and Marcus saw more amazing things. A human artist was working with a Cortex sculptor to create statues that moved and danced. A human chef was cooking with a Zephyrian food scientist to make meals that could change flavor while you ate them. The aliens love human culture, Bill said. They never had anything like our music, movies, or books. They are fascinated by human emotions and imagination. What do you mean? Well, take movies, for example. Aliens never created stories about things that did not really happen. They never imagined heroes or adventures or romance. When they saw human movies, they thought we were showing them historical events. Marcus remembered what Amy had told him about the aliens thinking human fiction was real. Now they understand that humans create stories for entertainment and to explore ideas, Bill continued. They are trying to learn how to be creative like humans. Some aliens have started writing their own stories and making their own art. They stopped at a wall covered with drawings and paintings. Some were clearly made by humans, but others were different. Strange, but beautiful. These are alien attempts at human-style art, Bill said. They are learning to express emotions and imagination through pictures and words. It is completely new for them. Marcus looked at a painting made by a Nexari artist. It showed what looked like crystal trees growing in a rainbow-colored forest. It was beautiful, but unlike anything a human would create. Dr. Linda Adams, our chief psychologist, has been studying what happens when aliens learn human thinking patterns, Jake said. She calls it human syndrome. What is that? It is what happens when aliens start thinking more like humans. They become more creative, more willing to take risks, more adaptable to change. Some alien governments have asked us to help their entire populations develop human syndrome. Marcus shook his head. They want their people to think like humans? Yes, sir. They believe that human thinking patterns are the key to solving any problem and adapting to any situation. They think human syndrome makes species more successful and happy. They walked to another section where Marcus saw something that amazed him. A group of young aliens were sitting in a circle with a human teacher. The teacher was reading them a human story about brave heroes going on an adventure. We are teaching alien children human stories and games, Jake explained. Their parents want them to develop human-like imagination and creativity from an early age. Marcus watched as the alien children listened to the story with wide eyes. When the teacher asked them what they thought would happen next, they raised their hands eagerly to share their ideas. 6 months ago, these children would never have been able to imagine different endings to a story, Jake said. Now they create their own stories and play games that require creativity and imagination. This is incredible, Marcus said. There is more, sir. Captain Nancy Wright is now in charge of something called the Galactic Diplomatic Corps. She handles relationships with all the alien governments. Would you like to meet with her? Marcus nodded, and they walked to another part of the ship. They found Captain Wright in a room full of screens showing different alien worlds. She was talking to several alien leaders at the same time, but she stopped when she saw Marcus. General Kane, it is an honor to finally meet you, Captain Wright said. She was a tall woman, with short blonde hair and a confident smile. I have been managing human relationships with 43 different alien civilizations. They all want to learn from us. What do they want to learn? Everything, sir. How to solve problems creatively. How to adapt to change. How to work together, despite differences. How to imagine things that do not exist yet. How to turn enemies into friends. Captain Wright showed Marcus one of the screens. It displayed a meeting between humans and a group of aliens he had never seen before. These are the Voldari, she explained. They live on the other side of the galaxy. They heard about what happened at Kepler Station and traveled for months to meet with us. They want to join the Human Alliance. What do we offer them? Partnership, sir? We do not rule over the aliens. We work with them as equals. They provide their knowledge and resources. We provide our creativity and leadership. Together, we build a better galaxy for everyone. Marcus looked at all the screens showing different alien worlds. On each one, humans and aliens were working together on projects he could not identify. The aliens see us as teachers and leaders, Captain Wright continued, but they also see us as friends and partners. They are not afraid of us anymore. They admire us. What do they admire? Our optimism, sir. Our refusal to give up. Our ability to find hope in any situation. Our willingness to help others, even when we have nothing to gain from it. 3 days after waking up, Marcus stood on the bridge of the UE's Liberty, the largest ship in the human fleet. Admiral Karen Bell, a woman with gray hair and kind eyes, had invited him to attend the first Galactic Council meeting since his return from cryo sleep. General Kane, I know this is overwhelming, Admiral Bell said as they walked through corridors filled with representatives from dozens of alien species. But the entire galaxy has been waiting to meet you. Marcus looked around at the aliens. Walking beside them, they all seemed excited and nervous. Some were taking pictures of him with strange devices. Others were whispering to each other in their own languages. They act like I am famous, Marcus said. Sir, you are more than famous. You are a legend. Every alien child in the galaxy knows your name. They learn about your strategies in their schools. They entered a huge room with a round table in the center. Around the table sat representatives from every major alien species in the galaxy. When Marcus walked in, they all stood up and began making sounds that he realized were their ways of clapping. General Kane, said a tall blue Zephyrian at the table. I am Ambassador Thex. On behalf of the Zephyrian Coalition, I welcome you to our new galaxy. A rocky red Cortex stepped forward. I am War Chief Grom. My people have studied your battle plans for 5 years. We have learned much about the human way of thinking. More aliens came forward to greet Marcus. Each one thanked him for teaching their species new ways to solve problems. Marcus felt uncomfortable with all the attention. Admiral Bell led him to a seat at the head of the table. General, The council meets every month to discuss how our species can work together better. Today, they want to ask you questions about human thinking and strategy. Ambassador Vex spoke first. General Kane, my people have been trying to understand your adaptive response protocol. We have studied it for years, but we still do not understand how you knew it would work. Marcus thought for a moment. I did not know it would work. I just wrote down ideas that might help us survive. The aliens looked at each other with surprise. War Chief Grom leaned forward. You mean you were not certain your strategies would succeed? Of course not. In war, you can never be certain of anything. You just try your best and hope it works. A crystal-like Nixari representative made a sound like wind chimes. Marcus learned that this meant she was confused. But if you were not certain, how did you choose which strategies to use? I used the ones that felt right, Marcus said. Sometimes in war, you have to make decisions based on feelings, not facts. The entire room became very quiet. Marcus could see that the aliens were having trouble understanding this idea. You made decisions based on emotions? Ambassador Vex asked slowly. Sometimes, yes. When you do not have enough information to make a logical choice, you have to trust your instincts. War. Chief Grom stood up from his chair. This is why humans are so powerful. You can make good decisions even when you do not have all the facts. My species would never act without complete information. A small green alien that Marcus had not seen before raised her hand. I am Speaker Zara of the Kelton Republic. General. Kane, my people want to know how humans stay hopeful when facing impossible situations. Marcus smiled. We stay hopeful because giving up is not an option. If we give up, we definitely lose. If we keep trying, we might find a way to win. But what if the situation is truly hopeless? Speaker Zara asked. Then we change what hopeless means. We find a different way to think about the problem. We turn hopeless into something else. Admiral Bell nodded. This is what happened at Kepler Station. Commander Martinez turned a hopeless battle into something that was not a battle at all. Ambassador. Vex made a sound that Marcus learned meant agreement. Yes, this is what we do not understand about humans. How do you change the meaning of things just by thinking about them differently? Marcus thought about this question for a long time. Finally, he said, I think it is because humans do not accept that anything is permanent. We believe that everything can be changed if you try hard enough and think creatively enough. Even defeat? War Chief Grom asked. Especially defeat. Humans do not really believe in permanent defeat. We see every failure as a lesson that helps us win next time. A new voice spoke from across the room. It was Captain Tony Garcia, a young human officer that Marcus had not met before. General Kane, may I ask you something? Of course. Sir, do you realize that your ideas have changed how every species in the galaxy approaches problems? Alien. Children now grow up learning that there is always another way to solve any difficulty. Alien scientists now try crazy experiments that their teachers would have forbidden 5 years ago. Alien artists now create things that have never existed before. Marcus looked around the room at all the alien faces watching him. I just wrote some battle plans. Captain Garcia smiled. Those battle plans taught the galaxy that rules are meant to be broken, that impossible things can become possible, and that the best way to solve a problem is often the way that no one has ever tried before. Ambassador Vex stood up again. General Kane, there is something we must tell you. The responsibility of being humanity's leader is very great. Every decision humans make affects billions of alien beings. Every new human idea spreads across the galaxy and changes how entire civilizations think. What do you mean? Admiral Bell answered. Sir, when humans create new art, aliens try to copy it. When humans solve problems in new ways, aliens adopt those methods. When humans show emotions, aliens try to learn how to feel the same way. We have become the teachers of the galaxy, whether we wanted to or not. Marcus felt a weight settle on his shoulders. That sounds like a big responsibility. It is, sir, Captain Garcia said. But it is also an opportunity. We can help make the galaxy a better place for everyone. War Chief Grom made a sound that meant he wanted to speak. General Kane, my people used to solve disagreements by fighting. Now we use human methods. We talk to each other, we try to understand different points of view, we look for solutions that help everyone. This has made my species happier and more peaceful. Speaker Zara nodded. My people used to be afraid of change. We thought change was dangerous. But humans showed us that change can be good. Now my species explores new ideas and tries new things. We have discovered amazing new technologies and art forms. Marcus looked around the table at all the alien representatives. Each one had a story about how human thinking had improved their species' life. The galaxy is becoming more like humanity every day, Admiral Bell said quietly. More creative, more adaptable, more optimistic, more willing to help others. Is that good? Marcus asked. God Ambassador Vex made the wind chime sound that meant happiness. It is very good, General Kane. For the first time in galactic history, different species are working together instead of fighting each other. Problems that seemed impossible are being solved. New discoveries are being made every day. Captain. Garcia pulled up a holographic display showing the galaxy. Most of it was now colored green, representing the human alliance. Every green area represents species that have adopted human values, he explained. Democracy, creativity, cooperation, optimism, and the belief that any problem can be solved if you work together and think differently. Marcus studied the map. What about the areas that are not green? Those species have not contacted us yet, Admiral Bell said. But every month, more civilizations ask to join the alliance. They hear stories about what we have accomplished together, and they want to be part of it. War Chief Grom stood up and made a formal salute. General Kane, on behalf of all the species represented here, I want to thank you. You taught us that being different is not something to fear. You showed us that the best solutions come from combining different ways of thinking. All the aliens around the table began making their species sounds of agreement and appreciation. Marcus felt overwhelmed by their gratitude. I have one more question, Marcus said. What happens now? Where do we go from here? Admiral Bell smiled. Now we explore the galaxy together. We solve problems together. We create new technologies. And art together. We build a future where every species can contribute their unique abilities to make life better for everyone. And if we encounter new challenges or enemies? Captain Garcia laughed. Then we do what humans always do, sir. We adapt, we improvise, we refuse to give up, and we find a way to turn our enemies into friends. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see hundreds of ships from dozens of different species all flying in formation. They were working together to build something new in space. It looked like a city, but unlike any city that had ever been built before. What are they building? He asked. The first galactic university, Admiral Bell said. A place where beings from every species can come to learn from each other. Where human creativity can combine with alien knowledge to discover things that none of us could find alone. Marcus realized that his role as a military commander was truly over. The galaxy was at peace, and it would likely stay at peace as long. As humans continued to show other species that cooperation was better than conflict. Admiral Bell, he said, I think I understand now. We did not win the war by being better fighters. We won by being better teachers. Yes, sir. And now our job is to keep teaching.